So for the next 20 minutes, so we're going to actually quickly dive into the marketing. So and we're going to have the Adam Brownstein, General Manager Japan and Asia Pacific Partnerize. So he'll be coming here to actually give us the idea of the trends to watch in the marketing. Adam, please.
Thank you, Kei-san. Thank you very much. And it's really good to be back at WiT. It's been a couple years. And I feel very badly for the people who are in Singapore and elsewhere around the region who are not with us live right now, because we're going to demonstrate for the first time ever WiT innovation. It's voice-activated presentation advancement technology. I'm just going to say, Tsugi onegai shimasu. And magically, the slides will continue to evolve. So let's try. I'll go back one. Atomai ni onegai shimasu. It works the other way too. Cool. All right, we'll stay here. So Adam from Partnerize, we're an Excel KKR funded SaaS software company. And we work with brands all around the world to help them connect with consumers. A lot of the brands that you see here in travel, many more not in travel. So we are very passionate about marketing, and I'm going to try to explain some of the things that you can bank on for 2022 and even beyond. 3 trends. Tsugi onegai shimasu. It worked again. This is great. 2 for 2. So trend number 1 is consumers, particularly in Asia Pacific and the wider region, are going to continue to gain power and leverage in what we call the marketing narrative. And what do I mean by that exactly? If you look at recent history, only about 400 years ago, tsugi onegai shimasu. This is a very broad arc of time that basically demonstrates to us something that we already know about storytelling and, in effect, marketing. So if you think about the medium, the technology that has been inculcated into humanity over the past several centuries and even several years, there's some pretty cool innovation. You've got the printing press, that was super cool 400 years ago, TV, radio, the internet. And then when you kind of catch up to the present moment, this tremendous deleveraging of the storyteller and leveraging of the audience takes place. And with digital and particularly with mobile devices, consumers, and let's call them guests for the purposes of WiT and the industry that we're all in and a part of, really have a lot of leverage over controlling what kind of story they want from brands, whether you are an accommodation provider, an aggregator, a flight provider, an experience provider, all of the wonderful things that make travel so cool, thinking about how we connect with consumers. And that will continue to shift and accelerate because consumers have even more idle time sitting around looking at their devices. So you get a leverage change over time, particularly in recent human history, that will continue to accelerate this year and beyond. Tsugi onegai shimasu. So if we get more specific and a little bit more data-driven, what's particularly happening right now in travel, particularly, and e-commerce more broadly, is consumers are flexing that leverage and those new muscles in terms of their interest and their buying power into new patterns of loyalty. I'll give you a couple of examples. Tsugi onegai shimasu. So this is data that's fresh from McKinsey. They published a report in Q4 of last year that looked at 2 different kind of vectors or questions to ask about consumer behavior in Asia Pacific. The first is, are consumers trying new things when they're on the sidelines waiting with their phones and their wallets during pandemic and shifting to endemic times? And the answer is yes, like 3 out of 4 consumers are trying something new. So when you get a randomization black swan event like COVID, it gives the consumer pause of just trying something new and different. And the second level down of this question has to do with what are they trying? What is new exactly? A couple of examples. New shopping methods. That could be moving obviously from brick and mortar more deeply into online. In the COVID trade, e-commerce has done so remarkably well because the channel is meeting the consumer where they are. So you see lots of consumers going to new channels. Many consumers are trying new brands, and that should be a source of insight and either curiosity or fear, depending on your mindset as a travel brand, as to when the consumer really comes back into domestic tourism, cross-border, all the things we so very much want in the industry. When they kind of come out of that hole, it's going to be a different mindset that they will be looking at the world with through different medium of communication and engagement, and being very open-minded to new brands and new experiences. A couple of personal examples here, and one that might relate to many of you in the audience here in Tokyo and further afield. One is, if you think about loyalty and points, like a lot of other digital professionals pre-pandemic, I would sort of look almost too much at what my ANA status was, or my Starwood Marriott point, whatever, SPG Gold, whatever. And now I don't really know what that is. I haven't looked in months and months. And so that changes my open mindset about where I might explore in terms of airlines and or accommodation. Another example, and we saw this a little bit a couple sessions ago, and Yoshida-san did a really good job from Adyan earlier, just talking about the nature of how consumers engage with content. I was on holiday recently, like many of you, enjoying the awakening of domestic tourism here in Japan. I was in Nagano, I was in Hakuba, staying in an accommodation, and the accommodation partner had a QR code as you entered that said, load this up, and then whatever you need online, just we're connected, and just let us know what you need. And I needed a shovel because there was a ton of snow in Nagano, and I wanted to shovel my family out and into our ski day for the day. And so I used that very simple QR code connection through Line. And Line became not just sharing photos with my Giri no Goriyoshin and Oksan and all those people who are important to me, but suddenly there was like a shovel in our front of our door within what felt like seconds. So that was a real moment of delight that could not have been enabled had you not had API connection through this kind of innovation and experimentation. So there's a lot of hope for innovation at the operational level. And if you're in the travel brand side of things, be mindful that you're going to waken up to a very different kind of consumer because their mindset is changing. Another trend that's highly related. Tsugi onegai shimasu. So this is a bit of a story in trend number 3, the final trend that I want to share with y'all today, about going from big and broad, and I wouldn't say clumsy, but a little bit simple, to focused and bespoke. And what do I mean by that? In marketing, in digital marketing, and in travel, we will start to see really good brands move from investing to connect with consumers across really big platforms that are sometimes cumbersome and opaque, to more elegant and nimble ways of connecting directly through consumers through partnership. And let me set some numbers against this here. Tsugi onegai shimasu. So this is a chart that shows brand spend in digital across Asia Pacific in 2021. And digital ad spending across brands, this is not only for travel, this is for e-commerce, travel, retail, banking. So it's quite large. It's a lot of money. It's nearly $30 billion in spend. And if you look at the detail here, Japan is really the lion's share of that. You have so much consumerism in Japan, and travel is a very big piece of that. So online digital spending is a large category. And if you dive a level deeper to find out where are CMOs, digital marketing directors, performance marketing managers, where are they making those bets? 8 out of 10 times that money is going to either Meta or to Google. And there's a very rational historical reason for that. The historic reason is those two very important companies performed extremely well in the KPI mindset of the marketer. ROAS, return on advertising spend, ROI, just return on overall marketing investment. So it paints a pretty curious picture, because if you're a CMO of an airline, or you've got a travel startup and you're trying to attract more users, those two channels can be good, but they're becoming a little less efficient. There are other ways to attract loyal customers, again, customers whose behavior is changing. And that's really the last trend to share, which is partnerships. And what do I mean by that? So digital partner marketing, it sounds like just corporate SaaS babble speak. What does it actually mean? It means two things. One is scale. And what I mean by that is, in the old days of affiliate marketing, if I had a Toyota company, great consumer brand, and another consumer brand, My Stays Hotels, and they wanted to do a marketing partnership, they would have a BD person sit with a BD person, go to izakaya, toast it, sign it, stamp it, hunko it, and that's one to one to one. It doesn't really scale. You can actually scale marketing partnerships much more quickly and securely and transparently through software and technology. So you could go online tomorrow and have over 750,000 potential marketing partners to bring you your next curious guest, whether they book tomorrow, they book next month, or they book next year. And the other piece about, I think, the really cool secret sauce of partnership marketing is there's an added delight to the guest who is curious about your brand and hopefully will book with your brand, because the partnership channels that accommodation partners and airline partners, experience partners work with today are other really, really cool brands. So you can look at media companies as a brand. We work with Disney, we work with DAZN, we work with The Athletic. Really cool brands can help you woo and earn the right to have conversations online with prospective consumers and guests, as well as eventually capture them into your business. So the three trends in a nutshell, one is expect that consumer leverage will continue this year and perhaps even accelerate, just because consumers are so savvy and they're very good at getting the story they want to be told in their way, in their time, on the device that they're on at the moment, meeting consumers where they are. Consumers are very curious, and the lack of travel and habituation in travel over the past couple of years will earn them the right to switch brands from time to time. So be mindful for that and be ready to tell your brand story to maybe some consumers who really didn't think about you and now they might be curious about you. And finally, you can scale and not combat, but really balance some of the marketing investment that traditionally you might have used Google and Meta for, with a more elegant, scalable, and focused way, and that's partnerships. And with that, Sugi onegai shimasu. I do want to say a very special thank you and acknowledgement to Suhoon and Kei-san and Asel-san, who are friends of many, many years from the industry. It's not easy to do this and to keep the lights on with the story of travel. I do fully agree and embrace the heartfelt idea that travel, there's a human need to explore, and travel is the best way to manifest that. There was a speaker earlier today who said it far better than I could, that travel really is this universal language. You don't have to speak the language to enjoy, whether you're going to Kyoto or Niseko. I know we have Ashley and his crew coming up next, which is going to be awesome. So have heart, stay resilient, and special thanks to the WiT crew for keeping this going. I really, really appreciate it.